Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. Well, a couple months ago, I did a video basically kind of chronicling my journey with Wegovy. It's the only video I had ever done about like me and my health, but this I thought was so important because it had, well, physically it had a major impact on me, so I knew I was looking different for you guys, but also it had a major impact on my health and a little bit of my mental well-being. So many of you have reached out in the comments and just said like the most wonderful, kindest things. You've had some questions. So I thought I would take time to address things that I feel like for me and my journey were super duper important. And if you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Jennifer. Usually I'm into all things hair, skin, and makeup, but today is all about my health and Wegovy. I want to welcome you to my channel, and of course, if you would like to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications, you can see the rest of the shenanigans that goes on with me. Usually, well, always on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern time is when I do my normal uploads, but special videos like this, they get their own upload usually on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. That's why you gotta ring the bell so you know when I'm uploading. All right, you guys, let's get into the 10 things that were super important for me. Now, I'm gonna say right off the bat, some of these may seem like, duh, common sense. But the thing is, when you're starting out on like a new medical path, sometimes common sense goes by the wayside because your focus becomes very narrow. I am one of those people, some of my followers know, I read the instructions on everything. I want to know how things work, how it's meant to work, how it's intended. Like, I want to know the purpose and how to use it the right way. That's what I did with the Wegovy. So let me tell you what I did to make the Wegovy work for me. So first and foremost, the most important thing was my relationship with my doctors. Plural. It was important that more than one of my doctors knew what was going on because I wanted to see how they thought the Wegovy was going to be addressed from their angle. So my Wegovy was was prescribed to me by my endocrinologist, if I can say that word correctly. However, I also have a gastroenterologist and she does prescribe me medication, so I wanted to make sure like that she was fine with it and to see like if she felt there would be any interactions or if on her end she would just be like, no, Wegovy's not for you. Luckily for me, she was fine with it. But it's so important to let all of your health care practitioners know what's going on. Just because one doctor knows what's going on doesn't mean they're seeing your entire picture. They're seeing like a piece of your pie. Listen, we'd all like to think that our doctors know everything that's going on with us, but let's face it, they're only going to zero in on their own specialty. And in a few more items down the list, I'll tell you why it was actually important that my gastroenterologist was in on this, because she actually had something great that I needed to know about. Not to mention, you need to feel like you can have open communication with your doctors, because I'm telling you, as you go down this path, you are going to have questions, and you need to feel like it's okay to call your doctor's office to ask them, even if it's multiple times a month. All right, number two, the information on the website. So depending on what you're using, like I said, I used Wegovy. If you're using Ozempic or Mounjaro or whatever it could be that you're using, make sure you go to your manufacturer's website. So for me, I went straight to the Wegovy website and I clicked on every link. I watched every video. I just crawled all over that website because I wanted to know everything about it. I wanted to know how it was supposed to affect me. I wanted to know exactly where I was supposed to do the injections. I just wanted to know everything. I mean, we think when they give us this medication, we're like, oh yeah, I know, I'm just gonna stick it in my side and just do this. It's not always that easy. I shouldn't say it's not that easy, but there's a lot to know about it. You can inject it in multiple areas. You can do it on your inner thigh if you've got more fat there. You can do it around your waist, although you're not supposed to do it like right around the belly button area. You can do it if you have extra fat like on the underside of your arms, although that is like a more difficult site to do on your own. You might need someone else to do it for you. So crawling around the website and just learning all the ins and outs of your medication is huge. Listen, when you have information, it is power. When you don't have information, you're kind of going blind. And who wants to be doing that when you're going down a healthcare journey like this? All right, the next one was super important for me, although heck, all of these were super important for me, but tracking my weight weekly. So what I did in the notes app in my phone, the very first day of my very first injection, I got on that scale, I wrote the date down, I wrote exactly what I weighed to 1/10 of a pound, and I did my injection. And that's what I did every week. And I was tracking my weight because you think like, oh, I'll just pay attention. But what really happens is you can start and see like, oh, I went down 2.5 pounds. Oh, I went up 0.8 pounds. Oh, I went down 3.2. It really has an effect on you mentally when you can actually see your progress. Especially for me, I learned usually the weeks that I would go up a little bit, I knew that the following week I was going to go down a lot. I never had 2 weeks in a row where I went up. And I knew that because I was tracking. And the tracking just was everything for my mental stability. Now, I don't recommend you weigh yourself every day unless you can not beat yourself up about things, because your weight will fluctuate throughout the week. But if you certainly just weigh yourself on the day you do your injections and log it, when you look at that as the pounds start to come off, you are going to feel so great about where you've come from. All right, now these next couple ones are going to kind of lead into each other, but this one is water. Water is so important. Now, we all know water's important. However, for us, we need the water to keep ourselves hydrated, and we need a little more water than usual. So whatever water or amount of water you're drinking now, as long as it's not excessive, you should probably think about increasing that. For me, increasing it, I do my injections on Friday. So increasing my water for certain on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, I found helped alleviate or mitigate tremendously my symptoms of nausea. The first few weeks that I was doing my injections, I was always having nausea on Saturdays. And I was able to ride it out. It wasn't debilitating, but it wasn't pleasurable. It wasn't terrible. Somehow I equate terrible and pleasurable. That's for another doctor. Anyway, so focusing on your water is super, super huge for the nausea, but it also is super important for constipation. Let's talk about it. So because one of the things that this drug does is slow down the digestion of your food is just going to be in your intestines for a longer period of time. And yeah, it does help keep you feeling fuller. However, that just means more food is getting put on top of more food, and you want it to move along easily. You do not, under any circumstances, want to get yourself constipated, because it can get really, really bad. Now, the water worked great for me to help with the nausea, and it was helping with the constipation for the most part. I'm not going to go all into my movements and everything like that. No one wants to know that. I will just say water helps. But going into my next tip is about the constipation. Now, because I did talk to my gastroenterologist about it, she told me to take stool softeners. Now, she has me take the docusate sodium 100 milligrams. These work great for me. I take one in the evening, every evening, and everything's fine. Everything just moves along smoothly. And after I'd been on it for a few months and I had seen her in the office, I said, should I still be taking these, or am I done? She's like, no, just stay on them. They're fine. There's no problem with being on them. They're not a laxative. They're a stool softener. So they help things not get, shall we say, hard and uncomfortable and possibly impacted. Let me tell you about Impaction, because that is something you want to avoid at all costs. If you think going to the emergency room can be embarrassing, well, the procedure to get you unimpacted is kind of mortifying. So I knew the best thing for me was to keep myself hydrated and keep the stool softeners coming. Listen, I am not going to completely sugarcoat things for you. I want you to know what you're in for. All right, and next up, this is number 6. This is your vegetables. This also goes along with the whole, constipation, moving things along route. You need to be taking in fiber. Now, you're not going to be hungry, or at least for a lot of us, me especially, I was not hungry for months. So I had to be very focused on eating, making sure I was getting in nutrients, especially things with fiber. And I wanted to do that through my fruits and vegetables. Now, usually the last thing you want to do when you're not hungry is have some fruits and vegetables. But trust me, your body needs those vitamins and minerals, but they need the fiber to help keep your business moving along. I found that for me, I like to have an apple every day. That worked really well. And then there was always a vegetable with dinner. Of course, I wasn't eating as much as I had been previously. So focusing in on having high nutrient, high fiber, good tasting food for when I was eating was super duper important. All right, number 7, you probably have heard about a lot, is protein. Now for me, because I had been working out for years previous to this, I go to the gym, I do a lot of weight training, my cardio, I don't have to do a lot of that anymore because I am in the menopause area, and because I don't have any heart issues, I'm actually able to do less cardio and do more weight training. And that has worked out really well for me because it's allowed me to really focus on putting muscle on, which has always been my goal, because when you have more muscle on, it actually burns fat. And as we age, muscle is really great for the aging body. Well, here's the thing. When you're losing weight, your body is not only like chewing up the fat and burning that, but it's also taking away from your muscle. So taking in protein to help keep that muscle stable, and if you're doing weight training, to help that muscle grow, is incredibly important. I cannot state enough, like over and over and over again, how huge it has been for me to put on muscle, because like, even though I've lost a lot of weight and I've kept it off so far, I'm still at like 62, 63 pounds. When I look in the mirror and the way clothes fit me, a lot of that has to do with having muscle on me, and I love that. Not to mention the aging, and I want to have the muscle on my body anyway. But protein is very filling. So taking it in throughout the day in like small amounts really, really helps. Now, some people suggest, and you can go online and figure out how much protein you need depending on your weight and your height. You can talk to your doctor about it. There are simple ways to like mathematically figure that out. Just Google, how much protein do I need in my diet? And it'll tell you, and just do the calculations. It's easy. You can do the calculations for a sedentary lifestyle. You can do the calculations for an active lifestyle. And you don't have to go like balls to the wall when you first do this calculation and you're like, oh my God, I need to take in whatever, so many grams of protein a day. Work your way up to it. Get yourself used to it. Get yourself used to the foods that are going to get you there. Now, because the protein is so filling, being able to have like a handful of nuts a couple times a day, maybe putting some seeds on your salads, taking in low-fat dairy. I actually take in, it's the Oikos protein. It's 20 grams in this little cup. I eat that every day after my workouts. I actually sprinkle a little bit of granola in there just because it's like a thicker type yogurt, and I like to like break up that consistency with the crunch of the granola. So I'm actually getting a little more fiber and a little bit more protein using the granola in there. But of course, things like beans, lentils, your lean meats, and your fish, it will get you there easily. But you're not going to be hungry, so you have to be like focused about it. And that leads me to my next point, and that's portions. Here's the thing. When you first start out, at least for me, my first couple meals, I ate like I had normally ate. And oh my God, what a mistake. Because your body, especially your stomach, empties more slowly, the digestion is more slowly, the food just sat in me like a rock, and I could literally feel it slowly moving through its path all night long. Super, super uncomfortable. So when I go out to dinner now, I don't order an entree. I usually order 2 appetizers, and I may order a dessert to take home for later. Girl still likes her sweets. But it's crazy to me how my portions have gotten so much smaller, and yet I'm still quite satiated. I never thought that would happen. And of course, it absolutely helps that the food noise is gone. So I'm not like thinking about food all day long. Like, what am I going to have for my next meal? What am I going to have for dinner? Oh, I need to go to the grocery store and get this and this and this. Being able to have smaller portions kind of means that like sometimes I just don't want to have a big dinner, and I don't have to because I get to have smaller portions. Number 9, and I touched on this briefly, was exercise. Now, if you haven't been exercising, then just start out slow. Start going for walks, doing something that's just going to get your body moving. If you have been exercising right along, keep doing what you're doing, but maybe cut back on your cardio a little bit, as long as it's fine with your doctor, and add a little bit more to your weight training. Makes a huge difference. Not to mention, as you're like the pounds are coming off and you're doing your workouts, everything seems to be like happening a little faster. And you'll notice in the mirror in the gym, you're kind of like, "Ooh, okay." But even more than that for me was all of the people in the gym around me that I've been working out around for years now have been coming up to me one by one, just being like, "Girl, you look fantastic," which is great for the motivation. It's great for, how I feel about myself. And it's really nice when people notice that you're making positive changes. All right, and last, this is a super important tip. It's the disposal of your injection pens. Now, here's the thing. I had been saving mine up in kind of like a plastic Tupperware container, and I had crammed as many in there as possible. So finally I went back to the drugstore, CVS, where I get my Wegovy from, and I said to the girl in the pharmacy department, I was like, "Okay, I have all these injector pens. I know I'm not supposed to throw them out. Do you guys take them back?" And she was like, "Well, no, and you can't throw them out. That's not allowed. It's a biohazard." I said, I get that. I know it's a biohazard. How do I dispose of them? She goes, "Well, I don't know, but you can't throw them out." We had this circular conversation, made me freaking crazy. Finally, she said, well, over there is something like a disposable container you can buy. It was like $22 or something. She's like, that's for needles for diabetics. You can just buy that. I said, and then what do I do with that? She's like, I don't know. So I thought to myself, all right, listen, there's no way that this product was made, but there's no sort of like system for disposing of these used injection pens. So not only did I climb all over the Wegovy site, but Wegovy is made by Novo Nordisk. And I went to their site and I went through the frequently asked questions. I used the little hourglass and searched for disposal. I did everything. And finally I found this. This here disposal container is exactly what everyone needs because they ship it to you for free. It holds a ton of pens. I have over a year's worth of pens in here, and you're supposed to, like, you're only allowed to fill it up to like about here. There's like a line on this side here. So you're supposed to fill it up to about here. Now, once it's full, the box that they actually ship it to you in, you keep that box, and that is what, this has probably got like cat hair and dog hair all over it, but this is what you're gonna send it back in. So they sent it to me for free, and I get to ship it back to them for free, and it comes with its own like label. It has like packing instructions with all of my information on it. So that is how you are going to dispose of your pens responsibly. See, this is one of the upsides of your girl just crawling all over websites trying to find the information. Now you have the information too. Now, like I said, a lot of this seems like it's common sense. Let's go over it again. Keep your doctors informed, read as much information on the websites that you can take in, track your weight weekly, take in more water than you thought you would need to, look out for constipation, keep up your veggies, up the amount of protein you're taking in, reduce your portions, get that exercise going, and dispose of your pens properly. And for me, those were the components that helped me on my journey to help me lose and so far maintain my weight loss. Now, I'm not like planning to do like this ongoing Wegovy series or my weight loss series. I just felt this was something that was important that maybe would be helpful to you guys. But if anything should drastically change and my journey is somehow impacted, I will definitely come back and tell you guys about it. But for now, for all of you guys who are either thinking about this path or already on it, I want to thank you so much for like spending your time with me, learning a little bit of what worked for me, and I want to wish you a great health and great success. All right, you guys, I want to thank you so much for being with me, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.